all right. I was talking to my friend the other day and he says, hey, do you want some LEDs? What am I going to say? No, I have way too many LEDs, but these are unusual LEDs. I'm not sure where he got these. They're not from a company that either one of us has worked for, but these are DMX controlled RGBW, so red, green, blue, white, LED strips. And they are about 1 foot in length, and I'm not exactly sure what they do. I think they're used probably for like theater use or something like that. There's a controller chip that does all of the magic. It you write to it and it stores information, and it does the pulse width modulation of all of the circuitry and does all of the magic for you. And then the thing communicates from board to board. There's connectors on the end, and you can stack these up. And so it's pretty nice. It's got a gold plating on the back. Very nice. It has holes next to the LEDs, so this thing's going to get really hot. And so this needs to be bolted down to some big heat sink and stuff. I have no use for these things, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them. But I thought at least I'd show them off and take one apart just to see what it's all about. So let's zoom in on this thing. All right, like I said, there's these funny connectors on the ends, and so they're stackable. And there's some kind of protection, some kind of transient protection or something between the connectors. I don't know. I looked this part up. It looks like it's an RS. Oh gosh, it's not RS-232. It's RS-455 or whatever that industrial RS-232 one is. Anyway, that's that chip. So there must be serial communication here. It's marked DMX plus, DMX minus. This must be clock data serial stuff that DMX uses. And then, like I said, there's this section here, which is interesting because there's these big inductors and some capacitors and stuff. So it's obviously switched. There's also diodes. So there's capacitor, diode, inductor. So it's meant to, whack on and off, but there's no control chip for it. Well, it's just one big chip. So it has the FETs built into it, and it drives the whole section. So it's pretty fancy. Unfortunately, it's hard to hack. You could make a DMX controller or buy one or whatever, right? But it's hard to hack. You can't just go into it and say, set it at 20%. Or anyway, you'd have to be able to program it. I'm not really interested in that. There's an LED here, an LED here, and way over here there's another LED here. So there's a big bunch of wasted board space here. So these things must be expensive, although PC boards are getting cheaper. But they put gold on the back, so I imagine these things are probably a good price tag. I will do some macro photography on this and show you everything closer, but that's what it is. I was mostly interested in the LEDs themselves. I haven't been doing LEDs for a while since I've retired, so the last time I did LEDs was back in 2004? 2014. Yeah, 2014. I'm sorry. I retired in 2014, so I was working on LEDs back then. So it's been a few years. And these LEDs aren't like any I've seen before. So the technology is definitely moving on. So I will take some macro photography of that LED and kind of give you my 2 cents on what's going on there. But it's definitely something I haven't seen before. So like I said, technology is marching forward. So I did take one of the boards and saw it in half. I sawed the end off of it, and where's my other part? And sorry, these are getting tangled up here. So I sawed this little bit off too. So I wanted just the LED. So I surgically removed it and put some wires on it so I can talk to it directly. But what I can do is I can kind of demonstrate the connector. So these, oops, not on camera. So these connectors are quite clever. There's some of them that are single spade and some of them that are two. So one of them is male and one of them is female. And so they work like this. And so these just slide together, and there you go. So it's pretty cool. It also would allow you to put them at some angle and they still make electrical contact. So that's kind of a neat feature. So I've never seen connectors like that before. Okay, so here's the LED, and I have hacked into it and added 4 wires. So if we hook up one wire here, well, that was the green one. So what I have here is I have this connected to a power source that is current limited at 10 milliamps. So I'm driving the LEDs at 10 milliamps. So like I said, that's the, oops, let me just clip it on. There we go. That's the green one. It'll be interesting to see what my camera does with this. It's even at 10 milliamps, these things are bright. That's the green one. What's this one? That's the red one. That's the white one. It's a nice white. And there's the blue one. Not a great blue. Yeah, the blue's not all that great. It must be a real deep. Yeah, it must be a real deep blue. Your eye's not very sensitive to blue light, so it looks dim, even though it probably isn't. Your eye is most sensitive to green. 555 nanometers is where the human response peaks, and so it doesn't take much to make green look really, really bright. Anyway, that's the LED. Flip of the board. Let me pan down the board. There's some unloaded parts, and here's the company who made it. I haven't heard of them before. And the second LED. There's the part number, I guess, Rev E. Well, it's not a part number, just a label. And there's where all the stuff happens. I don't know why there's 4. I guess I do know. There's 4 power supplies for the LEDs for the 4 colors, and then 1 to actually power the chip up, because the whole board takes 24 volts, so you have to down convert the 24 to run the chip. And then the last LED, the RS4, I forget now, the RS232 fancy driver, and then some protection stuff on the other end of the connector. Here's the LED. Red, green, blue, and white. And here's a end view where you can see the bond wires. And you can see that these are thin film LEDs. They look like they're built on top of silicon carbide. So the substrate is silicon carbide, and then an active layer is grown on top of that. That's the LED. It's then wire bonded down to the substrate. And if you look closely, you can see some little black chips with a single wire bond on them. Those are the reverse protection diodes that protect the LEDs from going bad.